done. After years of sitting in my WIP pile, I can finally say my Hexi cardigan is done. And you know what? It wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. Hey, my name's Emma and welcome back to Woodvale Lane. If you missed part 1 of my journey, I started this Hexi cardigan in 2023. And it has been sitting in my WIP pile, haunting me like a little ghost ever since. This project started its life as a YouTube tutorial, but as my focus shifted away from doing tutorials, this cardigan just ended up sitting in my WIP pile. So the end of 2024, I just had these 2 sides done and that was it. My biggest problem with the cardigan was number 1, fit issues, and number 2, I was just lacking motivation to finish it. But she's all finished up now and I love her. So in part 1, I had my granny square back panel, which is 5 granny squares sewn together. I used a join as you go technique to finish those up. And I swear the ends just kept multiplying because I was there for ages trying to sew them in. Before I added the back panel, I decided I was going to weave in all of the ends in the entire project. So I started with the granny square back panel, which I did complete. And then I had one side of my cardigan that still had a lot, and I mean a lot, of loose ends. So I sat down and I started weaving in all of my ends. And I mean, that's a pretty boring task. One of my subscribers suggested I watch Would I Lie to You? And I have to say that was the perfect suggestion. Thank you so much. I started binge watching it while I was sewing in all my ends. Next, I decided that I was going to join up the shoulder pieces first. I just wanted to see how did the sleeve look before I decided that I was going to join in the granny square back panel. This was mostly so that I could sort of get a fit guide to see how it was going to look. And I have to say, I love how the sleeves turned out. I sat down and I did a whip stitch. Normally I like to do a mattress stitch when I'm joining pieces together, but I have to say the whip stitch really came in clutch here. It looks amazing. So I did both of the shoulder seams with the whip stitch as well as the back granny square piece. Then I did a quick fit check before I decided if I was going to go ahead and do a border. Doing a fit check is such an important part of the process for me because I don't mind that much if I've sewn something up and I need to go back and readjust. But if I had completed the entire piece, I would have been so annoyed going back and having to fix it. So if you watched part 1, I had thought about doing a scalloped border and I think it would have really made the project pop. But I wanted to do it all in this white/cream color. And I have to say, I definitely didn't have enough to do that. But I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna go around the entire thing in single crochet and see how it looks. I felt like the white border would make it pop. And then if I wanted to add on the scalloped edge later on, that could always be a choice for me. I actually really vibed this. It's a bit minimal, but I actually really enjoy it. I also didn't want to do any ribbing for this project because I thought that the fit of the cardigan was actually really good. So I didn't want it to be any longer than it already was. And I love these like little bell sleeves. I did have a bit of a moment of avoidance before I started doing the border. I was like, do I really want to do this? But the thought of this going back into my WIP pile really sent me into like overdrive, hyper, I have to finish this motivation mode. Also, after I had sewn up the project, I wanted to check how it would fit around my neck because I didn't want it to be too tight or kind of have like a weird line, if you know what I mean. Sometimes if it's too straight, it just doesn't look right. So one thing that I did do when I was making this back granny square panel was that I made sure that it was technically 1 granny cluster smaller than the side panel. This was so that I could do a little bit of sculpting around the neck area, as you can see, like here and here. It did look weird when I sewed it up originally, but it did come together as soon as I added this border. And as you can see, it's not exactly straight here, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted just a little bit of shaping around the neck hole area. And yeah, that's how I shaped the neck hole. I think this would be a super cute cardigan to wear out to brunch or the farmer's market, or you know what, even just because I would love to see it in my like daily rotation for items that I wear during winter. I would also maybe, instead of having the leggings that I have on, I would pair this with a skirt instead and maybe a tank top underneath because this yarn is pretty warm. And I think that's one of like the most rewarding things when you make something yourself, when somebody asks you, oh, where did you get that? And you get to say, oh, I made it myself. So the cardigan really did turn out super cute. I love it. I know I had mentioned before that I was worried about the colors being a little bit off, but now that it's all together, I'm not really concerned at all about the dye lot situation. I think I really just got in my head a little bit about it and kind of fed into my avoidance as to why I didn't want to finish the project. But now that she's done, I'm so happy. So there are a few things that I learned while doing this project. One thing I learned is that if you have an old WIP, maybe you should just take it out. Take it out, give it a spin, see if you actually want to finish it. I also learned that doing simple borders isn't a bad idea, just to get the project done and sort of feel out the vibe of the piece. Because sometimes they don't really need that extra flair, especially if it's something as cool as a cropped bell sleeve cardigan. Also, I just want to send encouragement to everybody else. If you have a WIP that's just been sitting there haunting you, definitely take it out, give it a spin, see what your actual roadblock is, and honestly, it might not even take you that long to finish. Once I had sat down and really looked at my project, I realized it wasn't actually going to take me as long as I thought it was to finish it off. And sometimes just finding motivation is the hardest part of crocheting. So everybody, get out your old WIPs, give them a go. So what am I going to do now that my cardigan's finished? If you have any project suggestions for me, leave them in the comments below. Thanks for watching, like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Bye!